Hello everyone, myself Dr. Rajkiran Prabhakar, Assistant Professor at Institute of Management Studies, Banaras Hindu University, welcomes you on the course Rural Marketing Principles, Strategies and Practices. Week 8, Lecture 1. My dear learners, today we are going to discuss on the important topic that is promotion. As we have learned in your previous lectures that the marketing mix of rural market is very important and it emphasizes on the 4 P's of marketing. We have already discussed about the product, price, place, and today we are going to discuss on the promotion. Basically, promotion is what? It is communicating to your customers. Who are your customers? So the answer is the rural customers. How we can communicate to the rural consumers, to the rural entrepreneurs, to the rural businessmen with our product and services. It is very much essential to inform about our product and services to our target customers, since they should know and understand that what product we are going to offer. As we have seen in the previous lectures that the rural consumer is very sensitive. He is sensitive about the product, he is sensitive about the price, he is sensitive about the place, and he is also sensitive about the promotion mixes. So communicating the rural consumers is a very Herculean task. Since we understand that the rural customers are not that much informed, they are not that much aware as compared to the urban consumers. So let's start this topic. Introduction to promotion in rural marketing. We are going to understand the communication process in rural marketing. First, we will emphasize about the term communication. How communication is going to be the guiding force between the customers and the producers. We can also say that how will the manufacturers, farm producers are going to communicate about its product to the customers so that they are very much clear and understandable to them in their own language, in simplicity, in not using the jargons. So communication is when the sender communicates about the messages to its receiver. So we are going to talk about the communication, conveying the information about the product, about the services and the idea to the consumers using the appropriate channel. What is the appropriate channel? Appropriate channel is when we are trying to communicate with the channels available in the rural market, and what strategies we are going to resonate with their unique needs, cultural values as well as the socio-economic conditions. We have understood that the rural consumers' needs are different, their requirement is different, their socio-economic condition is different. We have to adhere to that very situation and then we have to communicate about the product and services. So in rural market, communication is vital in shaping the consumer behavior, building brand awareness as well as driving sales. Now we understand that the consumer behavior in the rural market is different from the urban market, as well as building the brand awareness. Brand awareness here is how we are going to talk about the communication process in rural marketing involves various elements such as understanding the target audience, understanding the right media and the channels that you are going to use. We have to select the right channel. We have to design the message that align with the values and lifestyles of the rural communities. So, we are going to understand the total communication process. The process means that what will happen first, what will happen second, and how this total entire means of communication is going to be taken in consideration starting from the sender to the receiver. So, what we see here is the main element to convey the information, messages and the ideas would be between the sender and the receiver. In between the sender and receiver, the message would be transformed by via media. So, what is the channel that we are going to choose to communicate the message? So, it involves the several components such as encoding, it will involve the message, it will involve the medium, it will involve the decoding, it will involve the feedback as well as the noise. Now, my dear learners, we are trying to understand that there are 8 elements in the communication process starting from the encoding of the messages to the noise. In the rural marketing communication, it becomes even more critical due to the unique characteristics of the rural consumers such as the lower literacy levels, diverse languages, cultural traditions and limited media access. In this, what we are trying to understand is because of the diverse languages, because of the cultural traditions and most important is limited media access. You might be knowing that the media that is used in the rural market is very much less, or we can say it is not that much rich as compared to the urban market. It could be the radios could be the best medium, it could be TV could be the best medium and followed with the print media, that is the newspapers. So, therefore, the marketer must carefully design and deliver the messages that are simple. So, my dear learners, it is very much important that the message that you are going to deliver, it should be simple, it should be relatable. The consumers can relate about what message you are going to pass or you are going to convey, and culturally appropriate to ensure the effective communication. Culturally appropriate means that it should be matching to the specification of the culture of that very village and rural area. Then we need to understand the communication process. What we are going to see here is this communication process is going to help the rural consumers by building a trust in them. If the customers are getting a right kind of message, the kind of trust that could be built can take place. Second, you are going to educate the rural consumers through the informations, through the different ideas, through different messages, through different pictorial representation, through some kind of symbols, logos, design and promoting products. Third, fourth is influencing buying behavior in a meaningful and impactful way. The kind of behavior that the consumer should have, or the message should be so impactful that they can be a trust in them. Now, we are going to discuss the different elements of communication process. The first and foremost is the sender. We will take an example here that any company, any fertilizer company, any seed making company will provide will see that the sender of the message would be given by the marketer, or it could be the company or the brand creating the message. It could be invariably used for the fertilizer company. As such, you might be knowing about the company called IFCO, Cripco, then we have NFL and many such companies which are promoting their message to the rural consumers. So, these companies, they try to give the message to the rural customers. Second is the message, what message they are going to pass to the customers. So, that is important, the content the sender wants to deliver. For example, we can say that you want to give the idea about the product, you want to give the different benefits that the consumers can draw from that product. So, majorly you are talking about the product benefits. You are going to talk about how to use that product, and also the main concern of the rural consumer is what price you are going to offer. So in the message you should be mentioning the details of the product benefits, its usage and the price. Third is encoding, the how to convert the message. The message should be converted into the different aspects, like we can say it will be a message given through an image, it could be through a picture, it could be through visuals, it could be used different dialects and languages, it could be given through gestures that the rural audience can understand. Take an example, Coca-Cola, when it introduced a product called Chota Coke. Now Chota Coke signifies that it is talking about a smaller product, and the rural consumers can buy the Chota Coke of 200 ml at a price. What is the price? The price is 5 rupees. So the major concern in providing the message and encoding the message should be passed to the receiver in that very manner. Third is the channel. What medium we are going to use to transform and connect the customers by your message. It should be medium through the message is transmitted. In the rural areas, this could include traditional media. When you talk about traditional media, it is the radio, the local newspaper. You might be knowing that in the villages, at different places, you will find some tea shops. People would be gathering there. The tea shop person essentially keeps a newspaper, and that is the main element which would be communicating about certain products that are being mentioned in that newspaper. Second is the folk media. You might be knowing that certain part of the Indian rural villages, you find the puppet show, you will find street plays, and you will find different folk songs to introduce about the product. Then we have mobile vans, which are going to be used for communicating the promotion. Second, it could be wall paintings that you see in the rural villages. You will see walls, and in that walls a lot of advertisements would be there. They will draw some picture, they will write some slogans, they will write some kind of symbols which will signify the communication of the product. Then there are community events. In this community events also you will see the hoardings are there, the banners are made, the posters are made. These are also going to be taking as the members channel. Fifth is the receiver. In the receiver, we see the rural consumers or the audience, they often has a diverse literacy levels. Diverse literacy levels means they are a different kind of literacy would be there. They might be knowing to read and write, they might be knowing just to read, they might not know how to write. So there are different literacy levels are there, as well as the cultural values. The cultural values talks about what kind of background they are having, what community they belong to, what religion they belong to, what caste and creed they belong to, and accordingly they have the habits of buying the products and the goods. So that is also important. Exposure to the media. Are these people exposed to media? Which kind of media they are exposed? They are literate, they can be exposed to the print media, they can read and write. But if they are not exposed, if they are not literate, they are just exposed to TV. In the TV, what is concerned, they can listen, they can watch. So visuals and audios are going to help to those customers who are not that much literate. Then comes the decoding. In decoding, how audience interpret the message depends on their cultural context, education and the language. As I mentioned, that the way they are educated, the kind of cultural context they have, they are going to understand in that manner. So language becomes a very important aspect of that. Seventh is the feedback. It is very much important that the receiver's response should be communicated to the sender as purchasing the product, inquiring further and sharing the message within the community. It means what? If the receiver has received the right kind of message, he is going to buy the product. He is convinced. If he is convinced, it means the proper message has been conveyed by the sender. Secondly, if it has certain kind of doubt, then he is going to make a query. The inquiry and query, it also becomes a part of feedback. And third, is the sharing the message within the community. It is going to talk about those messages which has been received by the sender, they are going to communicate to the other members of the community. Last is the society, which is very, very important in the communication process. The noise talks about any distraction or misunderstanding prevent the message from being properly received. Now, as we are seeing that the sender and the receivers are at 2 point, and the basic thing that in that medium or in the encoding and decoding, if anything that happens, it is a part of a noise. Noise could be in different forms. It could be a language barrier. The language that is used might, the receiver might not understand that language. It could be because of low attention. You are giving something, you are communicating something, the sender is communicating, but the receiver is not paying attention to it. That could be a problem. Third could be mistrust. You are communicating, but that message is not that much trustworthy, which is going to satisfy or build a trust amongst the receiver. So, the problem here comes is that there could be n number and means of noise. Distraction will happen, and if there is a distraction, it means the communication process is not complete and the sender has not able to communicate about what he wanted to communicate to the receiver. Similarly, the receiver has not had got the right kind of message which the sender has received. Now, this is a diagram which shows about the communication process. As I have just mentioned, there is a sender who sends the message, there is encoding that will understand the message, this encoding will be done, that what is the basic benefits of the product, the message will have the P's, 4 P's, what product is, what price is, where it will be found. Then decoding, if the customer understand what has been given by the sender, he is going to decode it, receives the same message. Then comes your this noise. Now, as I said, that noise will be on the basis of the channel noise would be there, that might be disturbing the flow of the communication, the flow of a message is not happening because of the low intensity, low intention, there is some kind of technical fault is there, and this forms the total noise. This noise will stop the sender to communicate proper message to the receiver. Then we are followed with the feedback. Now, feedback talks, as I just mentioned, that if it has understood, it will share in the community, it will talk about the products and things will happen. We will take an example to understand this. If the company wants to market a new pesticide in a village, what message we are going to give? The message is, this pesticide protects crops from common pests and increase the yield. Now, what is the message that is communicated? It protects the crops and it increases the yield. Two things that we have to emphasize. The medium is, they are going to use the puppet show during the local fair. So, what is the place? The local fair, and it is being supported by the radio jingles in the regional language. So, language that they are going to use is the local dialect, the radio is the medium that they are going to use it, and they are going to communicate the message that the pesticide protects the crops as well as it is going to increase the yield. Encoding will be using a farmer character in the show who demonstrates the usage. So, what you are going to see? You are going to frame a person, a character which will be depicting as a farmer. Decoding, the farmer relate the character and understand the benefits. So, he sees the farmer in that attire, he relate himself that okay, this is the message is about the farmer. Then there is a feedback which says that increase in the inquiries at a local shop. So, if the receiver has received the message, he is going to make a query, he will ask about that pesticide from that local shop, whether it is available or not. Then there are key considerations in rural marketing. The first is the language and culture, which emphasizes that you have to use local dialects and it should be culturally relatable themes. Means you are going to talk about in those language which is being spoken in that very area and they are able to connect with that language. Simplicity, as I said, it is simple, it should not be complex. So, avoid complex language or visuals. The visual should be also very simple, showing a grass, showing a bull, showing a cow. Avoid the complex language or visuals. Use storytelling, very, very impactful. If you are making a character and you are using storytelling, analogies and folk elements, this will make the consumers connect to that very product, because the storytelling has a different kind of impact amongst the rural consumers. Then we have a trust and credibility. The consumers will only receive the message if they have a trust. So use local influencers, that could be a panchayat person, that could be a pradhan. Trust and credibility, use local influencers, it could be pradhans, use farmers, they are local people, use village leaders to convey the message, it is going to be impactful. You are going to choose the right mix, as we can say you can use the loudspeakers, you can use the rural radio, you can use the mobile videos, you can use local mela fairs and the hearts. These hearts are nothing but the weekly markets that are being taken into the rural villages. So you can use this media search. And last is the interpersonal communication. What you are going to use? Word of mouth. This word of mouth and personal selling play a huge role in the rural areas. So my dear learners, we see that because of this interpersonal communication, it is very much impactful to communicate about the product. With this, we come to the section of think about this. Think about this, we are going to talk about a time when you visited or stayed in rural area. Maybe in a village you are from, or any you have traveled to. What you have to do? You have to see what differences did you notice in how people receive the advertisements or product information compared to urban areas. So, if you had to explain a new product to your friends, family in that village, how would you communicate it differently than a city? So, my dear learners, you have to look into the different aspects as to convey the product, the kind of message that you should deliver to that consumers. It could be the communication might be different for the urban consumers and for the rural consumers. With this, we come to the end of lecture 1 of week 8. Thank you.